Hello and welcome to The Bomb Filter, an experimental movie podcast designed with one thing in mind, to determine the worst movie ever made. We put bad movies through a series of tests to decide just that. I'm your host, Chris Ackman. I'm joined by my co-host and fellow mad scientist, Rob Scucci. Hey, Rob, how are you and why are we doing this?
Oh, I'm great, and I think we're doing this to explore the art of thespianism through the lens of Nicolas Cage.
Yes, that is my sole purpose.
So here's the thing. He gets a bad rep for taking, I think with this movie in particular, we're doing the Wicker Man this week. And I think he gets a bad rep for taking whatever role is given to him, in quotes. You know, I think the guy just likes being in movies. Much like that Something Awful, or what was it, that College Humor video where he's like, I like being in movies, Gary. And he's like not turning down any of the fucking, he's not turning down any.
That was great.
I think
Funny or Die.
Funny or Die or College Humor, one of those guys.
Yeah.
But I honestly think he enjoys being in movies. And there was an AMA on Reddit a while back. They were asking one of his stand-ins what it was like being Nicolas Cage's stand-in. And for those who don't know, the stand-in is the person that stands in his spot while they're setting up the lighting in the film, in the frames. And he was just like, he comes in, he knows his lines. He's great to the producer. He's great to the craft service people. He's a very nice guy. Then he leaves and goes to one of the other 10 movie sets. So, you know, I think Wicker Man put him on the spiral in the early 2000s that he's just coming out of now, where people think he was just some hack actor. But I argue the dude's got chops, and I think even though he does take these turd of movies, he does the best he can, and I think we'll see that with the Wicker Man.
Okay. I mean, I think he tried really hard in the Wicker Man.
A little too hard.
Yeah, I think he tried a little too hard. This was not. They say about Nicolas Cage sometimes that he just gives up on the role.
Yeah,
and maybe that's true. I don't know. I haven't seen every movie of his, but I know of movies that are maybe reviewed by critics as even worse than this one.
Yes.
Which, maybe we'll get into those later. I think we're going to do a Cage movie every 6 or 7 movies, right? Just to
necessary. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, why don't we get into it, bud?
Okay.
I'm going to start off with our bad reviews.
All right.
Okay. Kim Newman of Empire Magazine.
Okay.
Ready for this one?
I'm ready.
Bad idea, bad film.
So 4 words. Okay.
Yes. From UGO, Brian Tellerico. In the final act of The Wicker Man, when Nicolas Cage has donned a bear suit, you have to wonder just what it is you're watching.
Yeah.
All right, I've got one more from efilmcritic.com. It's Rob Gonsalves.
Okay.
I've seen many ill-advised horror remakes in my time. The Wicker Man may be the worst yet.
Yeah, so, Rotten Tomatoes gave the remake a 15 or something like that, and I think the original got a 75.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, speaking of Rotten Tomatoes, I was going to launch us right into the Keystone Apparatus.
Okay.
The Keystone Apparatus is a segment designed to get a proper evaluation of the ecosystem of films that the movie exists in. So we get an average of Rotten Tomato critic scores for the movies suggested to us by the streaming service that we use to watch the movies. So in my case, again, it was Amazon this week. So the movies that they suggested to me were The Box with Cameron Diaz and James Marsden.
Okay.
That got a 43%.
All right.
Devil got a 49. I don't even know who the actors in are.
Never heard of it.
Some movie called The Mark of the Bell Witch, which I couldn't even find on The Island of Dr. Moreau. Did you hear about that one?
I never saw that movie, but I hear it's phenomenal. I hear that one's really good.
Okay, I think people are of two minds.
Okay.
There's Marlon Brando and Val Kilmer. I think because it was ambitious.
Okay.
So I think it might have been 94. The year, not the score. The critic score overall was a 24 for that one.
Oh, wow. Okay.
The East, another movie I've never heard of, another movie I don't know the actors in. It got a 76, though.
Okay.
1408 with Cusack and Samuel L. Jackson.
That was pretty good.
That got a 79. I was surprised.
Yeah.
The Others with Nicole Kidman got an 83.
Okay.
So, I mean, this is definitely our highest average. You average out all of those Rotten Tomatoes critic scores, and you come up with a 59. That's definitely our highest.
Yeah.
So far. So now we're going to determine whether or not Wicker Man is a keystone predator, so to speak, in this ecosystem. I'm going to have to declare this prey once again because, as you aforementioned, Wicker Man scored 15.
Was it really 15? Okay, I was going off the top of my head, but it is that low?
It was a 15. So, yeah, it is really, really, really bad compared to the average of the movies around it.
Okay.
So that's a first knock against it.
Okay.
So with that jumping point, do you want to get into the tests?
Yeah, let's get into the test. Let's do it.
Okay, cool. So test number 1, as you know, is the Budget Botch Watch. This is where Rob and I assume the roles of budget analysts. So as we compare the actual budget of the film to the value that they extracted from it. So the difference in these two values is our score.
Okay.
So let's get into test number 1, the Budget Botch Watch.
It's the Budget Botch Watch.
Now we're going to look at the amount of money that they put into the production budget, which I don't. Do you know?
Do I know how much what the budget of the movie was?
Yeah.
I did. The other thing I looked up was I saw the Rotten Tomato by happenstance when I was looking up some quotes. Okay. I mean, they had On Location, and then they had some pretty good, I guess, like pyrotechnics or conventional effects when the whole like Burning Man they had at the end, and the cop car exploding. So plus Nicolas Cage, plus it could have been more than like 25 million.
Yeah, it could not have been more. I agree. I think it might have even been less than that because I think to rent out, I didn't even have to be an island, really. You know, they don't get any shots of like water surrounding it completely or anything like that. So they just really needed a bay and some woods. It could have, shot just about anywhere. Yeah. So I don't think it cost much. And they found some really nice mansion. Yeah. And that's about it. I mean, like you said, there was some special effects in there and they had to pay Nicolas Cage. But as we were saying before, I mean, he takes paychecks. He likes to be in movies. So yeah, I don't even know how much he might have gotten from this, but I bet you it wasn't a ton. No. So you say 25? Yeah. I'll go 15 and we'll take a look.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm scrolling down right now on IMDb. Okay. It's a little more, 40 million.
Oh, wow. Who put it out? Like Miramax or Warner Brothers? Who?
I will have that answer in just 1 second.
I'm guessing the money had to have been like marketing or something because this visually there wasn't anything really crazy going on.
I agree.
Aside from payroll, maybe, but that's.
I'm looking right now, and it looks like. I don't know. It's probably a bigger it's Warner Brothers.
It was WB. Okay, so I'm guessing marketing was probably half the budget then, because there's really nothing much else that I could imagine it going into.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they don't do a lot of computer animation, which I actually want to give them credit for.
Yeah,
because I feel like that was definitely tempting in 2006.
Yes,
but it's pretty much all practical effects, which I thought came off pretty good.
Yeah.
While we're here, why don't I ask you to guess what you think it grossed worldwide?
I don't think it made budget. The budget was 40 million. I don't think it made budget to date. I don't know, like maybe 28 million.
You are right in that it didn't make its money back, but it did make 38.8. So, I mean, it was
okay.
1.2 off. I mean, no company wants to lose $1 million, so I'm sure Warner Brothers is still not happy.
Yeah,
but yeah, that is the to date amount that they were able to pull in on all streaming services and DVD sales.
Okay.
2006, I think cassettes were pretty much out. So
yeah, it was all DVD. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what they've made to date. So it is negative so far, but we need to decide how much of that $40 million they spent properly, so we can get our first score.
Honestly, I think probably if you and I split the difference, so call it $20 million, because you lowballed it. I thought I highballed it, but I also, I guess, lowballed it too. But I think if we split the difference, that's probably what the acceptable, in my mind, amount would be. Just getting the payroll and those few scenes where there's like actual, choreographed fires and all that going on. Yeah.
So they had to spend some money appropriately. They got some nice, pretty locations. They got Cage. They got nice practical effects. So we'll call it half of the money they spent.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So a negative $20 million for test number 1.
Okay.
Test number 2 is the elevator movie plot pitch. And this one is a quick summary. At least we hope it's quick, because the point is to succinctly summarize the movie. The faster that you can do that, the gold standard here is Jurassic Park. 10 seconds it took me to accurately explain the plot of that movie. Okay. The longer, the longer runtime over the 10-second standard is the higher the score. So as soon as it crosses the 10-second barrier, it starts to add up. So I'm going to write I'm going to read you what I wrote for the summary.
Okay.
And we'll see what you think, because we're going to give it a star rating, but we're also going to count it on your stopwatch.
Okay.
Stopwatch ready?
That's ready. Should I play the bumper for that real quick?
Hey, let's do it. The elevator movie plot pitch.
Hey, I gotta show you my script for this movie that I just came up with. You ever seen Top Gun? It's like the guy from Top Gun. He works at a mall.
Okay, so it's a night at the Roxbury.
Hand out those little lotion packets. Hey, sir, I know you're in a hurry. Would you try
Okay, I got the stopwatch ready.
All right, let's go for it.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, plot pitch.
Traumatized and desperate for redemption, Nicolas Cage is hoping to put his detective skills to work to find his daughter. He doesn't yet know that it's his daughter, however, but like I said, he's desperate to redeem himself after he allowed a mother and daughter to die in a car crash right in front of him. He's still not sure that they actually ever existed, though, because he dreams the car is empty and his fellow police officers recovered no bodies from the scene of the crash. Anyway, at the behest of his former fiancée, he arrives to a private island off the coast of Washington State to begin his search. Will Nick find his daughter, or will that plot line not actually matter much at the end? That's it.
39 seconds.
Okay, so score of 29.
Okay.
How'd you like the pitch?
I'd give it a 3.5.
3.5, me too, because that does leave you wondering at the end there.
Oh yes.
Like, hey, does it matter?
I don't think anything in this movie matters.
But that's unique for us. That's new,
Yeah.
Usually the plot matters.
That is true.
All right. Why don't we get into test number 3? Now that we have our first 2 scores. Test number 3 is the indefensible dialogue counter. So for this one, it's really, really simple. The test gathers the horrible lines of dialogue into a collection that is then tallied to give us our score. That's simple as that. Okay, so let's get into it. Test number 3, the indefensible dialogue counter.
Something that makes absolutely no sense. Something similarly stupid.
All right.
Okay,
so Rob, you're going to try to defend these lines. If you can't defend them, we're going to tally them.
All right.
Okay, cool. Here's line number 1. And keep in mind, this is heavy Cage. Just every test. Heavy Cage.
Okay.
He's all that matters. Cage to the pilot. You remember the pilot that flew him into the island?
Oh, yes.
He's trying to convince the pilot The pilot says, no, they're very private over there. I'm not going to do it. Cage says to the pilot, why don't you take all of us then? Pilot's like, huh? And he says, me, my friend Grant, and his twin brother Ulysses. And he hands him a couple of 50s.
That actually cracked me up.
Yeah, I mean, for the right reason.
No, just because it was there's a line in another movie where he's like, listen, man, there's only two people I trust. The first one's me, the second one's not you.
Okay,
and
that's better though.
That's better. That was Con Air, I think. And so I mean, he didn't have the kind of rapport with the guy yet to make that kind of joke. Like,
right.
The guy was just like grim faced, like, you don't want to go there. You can't go there. I can't take you there. What if I took all of us? So, I mean, I would tick that off on the list.
Okay. You want one tally for that?
Yeah, one tally. Why not?
Okay, cool. All right. Number 2, Cage, and the blonde girl.
Okay.
Do you remember when he confronts her in the hallway because he was unpacking his bag and he found something missing?
Yeah, his tapes.
Yeah. He says, did someone unpack my bag? Because I'm missing some tapes. They're called Everything's Okay. And the blonde girl back, this is really the rough part. To that, she says, good.
I mean, it's a dick move. Because I'm not going to say anything right now because I want you to get into all your quotes. But there's a lot of really good wordplay that I actually enjoyed in this movie. But that was one of them because she didn't say anything really out of step or wrong, but at the same time, that's a real dick thing to say to somebody who was sincerely looking for their missing possessions.
Right. I mean, I guess she didn't answer the question. She just told him that she's glad his tapes are missing. Yeah. That's the point.
Yeah, but I guess the double thing was, I'm glad everything's okay.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right. It just didn't land. It didn't land, so I would check that off.
Okay. I mean, it's not too. I mean, the way that you had me thinking about it is better than I thought it was, to be honest with you. So,
all right.
All right. So again, Cage with the blonde girl in this case, she's chopping wood, right?
Okay.
Remember when he says something like, "What?" This is paraphrased here because I couldn't jot it down quickly enough.
Okay.
What happens the day off tomorrow? And she says, "That's an odd way to say it." And he says, "I thought that was a way of saying it." And she says, "Nothing happens. And I told you about tomorrow," something like that, right? And he says, "Oh, I didn't think you did." And then she says, "When you leave, take me with you." Like quite abruptly. That whole exchange was uncomfortable. And there are a few of those exchanges here in this movie where they seem to be talking past each other.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think what they're trying. Here's the thing: is idea and execution. I think the idea was that it's like they're talking and someone's walking by and they'd be like, it's like I would never have sex with you for money, and like they're watching like the person walk by when they're saying it, like, and then they leave. It's like, I'll never have sex with you. Meet me behind the docks. It's just one of those. Right. They know they're being watched, so they're trying to like slip in whatever signals or signs of duress that they can, but it wasn't executed well at all because there's tons of those in this movie.
Right, it wasn't because you wouldn't expect the blonde girl to be such a bitch to him, like she expects him to do a favor. And then I don't know. I don't think I mentioned this in my illogical inconsistencies later, so I'll just say it now. But like later in the movie, she plays an important part for the community. I mean, much later in the movie, that is also inconsistent with her will to flee the island. Yeah. So, just confused here. That's all. I mean, I wrote all that down because I didn't really understand, for the sake of the consistency of her character, the dialogue. Yeah. So tick it or don't?
I would tick it off.
Okay.
Because it wasn't executed right. It's like it's like we're in on what they're trying to do, but they're not doing it right.
Right, so, exactly. We know what they're attempting to do. Right, exactly. Okay, Sister Rose to the children.
Okay.
Remember this one?
Yeah, probably.
As he's walking in, she says, "What does man represent in his purest form?" And then the kids respond, "Phallic symbol, phallic symbol."
I'm gonna okay. So it's really cringy, but I'm going to defend it because there's all right. So this whole island's a matriarchy, not a patriarchy.
Yeah,
and all the guys there are like beaten, run down looking people who like kind of get sacrificed. They're just semen pumps for the women on the island. So like that one part of dialogue shows these young ladies being indoctrinated, going, men are only for breeding, and then once they are used up, we toss their carcasses. Like that, and like I think you got all that from that exchange, and I think that's a kind of it's one like a piece of clue as to what's going on the island that actually shows you what's going on.
Okay, fair. I laughed.
Me too.
But I think you're right. I think it does accomplish that. And I wanted to ask, by the way, do the men have no tongues?
I think they were traumatized into being mute, but I don't know.
Okay, because they never actually show it, but they're it just gave you the impression when they're like, that they don't like have a tongue in there.
I didn't even think of that till you said it, but like now I want to go back and like look to see like freeze frame.
Yeah. I kind of got the impression that they had their tongues cut out.
It could be. Let's go with that.
You remember when Cage is like, can't you talk?
Yeah.
And the guy is like, it doesn't even respond. They just all go, nah, to him. Like, nobody actually says anything.
Yeah. So maybe I'll give credence to that theory. Let's say they have no tongues.
Okay, cool. So while Cage is still in the school.
Yeah.
He asks Sister Rose her name. She says Sister Rose, and then he goes, "Oh, another plant, of course, Rose." It doesn't matter that they're all plants.
Yeah.
Ever. So it just kind of dies right there. He kind of points it out, and you're like, "Oh yeah, they're all plants."
Yeah.
That's it.
I mean, they're on like they're all like into Mother Earth and stuff. So I guess it's Summer's Eve and Rose and whatever.
Dr. Moss,
yeah. So, I mean, once again, it's like, I get the joke they were trying to do, but it was like, it came off as Billy Madison, like chlorophyll, more like chlorophyll.
Yeah, right. Easy.
Yeah, tick it off.
Okay, that's 4. 4 out of 5 since you
okay.
Cage again to Rose. This is later in the movie though. So I'm going to confess that this line actually isn't that bad. I just wanted to bring up the scenario for a reason that I'll get into. So he says, "Step away from the bike," after pulling a gun, right?
Yeah.
He's like, "Step away from the bike and keep your stupid mask." Not the worst line, like I said, but I imagined him actually not like forcing her to keep the mask and thinking that it was like a requirement for the bike.
Yeah.
And then popping on like the Raven mask and speeding down the hill and wearing it.
That'd be like he did it in the bear costume. That would have been a much better scene, I think. I would have saved this movie, in my opinion.
Yeah, agreed. If like
just
the
yelling,
feathers were kind of flying off.
Just yelling, caw, 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 caw.
In his best lady voice, as to be discreet. All right, so I'm not even going to take that one off.
All right, no,
because it's not a bad line of dialogue. I just wanted to see if I can make you giggle.
Yeah, that was a good scenario.
All right, so here's I'm going to just check to make sure. No, okay, I have 2 more.
Okay.
Cage to a random mother and kids. We never get their names, right? But
okay.
No, I don't need anyone's goddamn permission. You have my permission to stay the hell out of my way.
I mean, you can mark it off because like he's supposed to be getting unhinged at this point and like getting delirious, and like he was trapped in that well for a while. But
he was
he at that point?
Yeah. No, I'm agreeing. I'm sorry.
All right, yeah. But it's just we've seen Nicolas Cage go unhinged before, and this just wasn't it.
We have.
It didn't. It like what you said. This is kind of him just like just forgetting, like losing the role and just going, fuck it.
Yeah. I mean, he tried really hard, but I just don't think I don't think he understood exactly how to do it.
Yeah.
And maybe nobody could. Maybe the best actor, maybe Daniel Day-Lewis would struggle with this role. Who knows?
Yeah.
But
I think after like 70 days on set and you're seeing you're watching like the daily edits going like, oh, this is a pile of fucking shit. And just giving up.
Right. So we gonna tick that one off, or did we? I think we did, right?
We ticked it off. I think we should.
Okay, we ticked it off. Okay. So here is my last.
Sure.
It's actually not Cage.
Okay.
It's Summer's Isle to Cage. At the end, I hated this line. Tell me what you think.
Okay.
As she's explaining the fertility sacrifice ceremony, she says, "We need a stranger, but one that's connected to us." It's why it's not necessary.
And to add to that, they said by blood, but he wasn't a blood relation. He was just the biological father of Rowan.
Right. So
he wasn't related to her to Willow by blood.
No,
he wasn't connected by blood.
Right. So I guess it's a stretch, but if Rowan counts, then it's blood. But why is so? This is the kind. It kind of enters the area of like junk science. But like, what fertility ceremony are you aware of that is real science? So I guess I'm being nitpicky, but it really bothered me that all of a sudden they needed a stranger, someone they don't know but is blood related, and he just fit the bill. Like, isn't it lucky that Willow came back, or was Willow never? I'm going to get into illogical inconsistencies here.
Yeah,
but that line just really bugged me because it's a big stretch.
Makes me feel like it was something they maybe. I haven't seen the original. I plan on watching it though. It seems like something that maybe was expertly folded in through the narrative of the original movie, and then they were in the third act of the remake, and they're like, "Oh shit, we gotta get the whole thing, the fertility in there." And then
get Summer's Isle to throw that in there. Yeah,
and they had like 20 monkeys on a typewriter, just like banging it out before they shot it.
That could be. So can I tick that off?
Yeah,
because it ticked me off.
It ticked me off too.
Yeah, man. All right, so that's all I have. Do you have any honorable mentions?
It's not indefensible dialogue, but it's one of my favorite lines in the whole movie is when he's at the very beginning, he's holding out a picture of Rowan going, "Have any of you guys seen this girl?" And one of the ladies goes, "No, I haven't." He goes, "Well, here's a tip. Sometimes it helps to actually look at the picture."
Yeah.
I remember in 2006 when that came out, for some reason I was on the floor laughing at that. I just wanted to mention that line.
But again, the problem though is it's not well executed because you can't tell whether they're looking when he says it, and then they go back to them and they're not looking. But it could have looked.
Yeah, they could have taken a glance. They could have,
so they should have the camera on them so that it was obvious they weren't looking.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But anyway, do you want to tick that?
Yeah, why not? Let's go for it. Let's add to the score.
Let's do it. That's a 7 now.
Okay.
So swing over and throw that into our results so I don't have to do that later. 7 for IDC.
Right on.
Cool. All right. Why don't we head over to test number 4, the motometer overspill. So what we are going to do here is grab another one of our custom-made pieces of equipment. This one's called the emotometer. And that can be fine-tuned to the emotional output of the actor in question. This one, pretty much Cage at all time. When activated, the meter measures the peak of emotion displayed by the actor in the given scene and compares it to the range of genuine human emotion. Right? So the maximum outpouring of genuine emotion for a given scenario is 10 cages. A scene full of overacting will garner a score above 10 as it spills over the meter's limit.
Okay.
So let's get into it. Test number 4, the emotometer overspill.
You blow a fuse, the time cuts loose.
The emotometer overspill, where screaming is king.
All right, awesome. I've got mine right here. Remind me to ask you for any honorable mentions later if you have any.
Okay.
So after this, we're going to get into the Ash Cheek Arena to see if Turl has any real competition. I'm excited for this week's edition.
Sweet.
Okay, so my first emotive meter overspill moment was when Cage was in that school we were talking about.
Okay.
Do you remember when he walks to the back because he thinks he's discovered Rowan's desk?
Yes. How could I forget?
Do you remember when he opens the desk and a bird comes flying out and he goes, "What?"
Yeah.
That is not the emotion you would have. You would, what?
Yeah, you'd have at best you'd have like a just genuine being startled. You know?
Oh my God! If you're listening and somehow you haven't seen the movie, please, like that, dude. Oh my God, I was laughing so hard. That is not the word you would say there. You might not say a word at all, but it wouldn't be what. With a bunch of, he really gives it a twang, so he's asking a question. He's asking the kids what. When there's a crow fight. Anyway, I give that a 21. I don't know why that tickled me so. How do you feel?
I'll go with a 21 with that. I can't disagree with your assessment on that.
It's unbelievable. Like, he screams. And it's almost as if he knows there's something, he kind of telegraphs it a little bit too, I think is what bothers me.
Yeah.
He obviously knows there's a bird coming out before the bird comes out, which isn't good. All right. Number 2, I'll stop talking about it now. When he's walking along with his bike and he bumps into a beehive.
Yes.
And then he has to run away from the bees.
Yeah.
There's no dialogue, but he's waving his arms not very quickly in the air, and he's coughing and choking and pulling his hair and grasping at his chest and stuff.
Yeah.
And he falls down. I think it might be CGI, the bubbling up, or it could just be good makeup, I guess.
Yeah.
I didn't go too crazy, but I felt like his acting there was an 18 because it was bad.
Here's the thing. Yeah. So, I'll agree with that assessment, but, I think what they're trying to do was he mentions very early he's allergic to bees.
Yeah.
And, I think he's a man who'd never been stung by a bee in his life, trying to act like he's been trying to act like the boy from My Girl, where he's actually gonna die. So I think he's the whole throwing haymakers basically. So that's a fair assessment. I think once again, idea was there, but the execution was poor. Yep.
Yeah, it didn't look realistic to me, but it's a little better put that way. All right, so I'm going to throw number 3 at you, and this is a line you've already heard.
Okay.
When he screams to the mother and the kids, "No, I don't need anybody's goddamn permission. You have my permission to stay the hell out of my way." He went way over the top.
Yeah.
I gave it a 22, and I think...
Okay.
Well, how do you feel about a 22?
I would say 25, to be honest.
Okay.
Just because, like I was saying, it's like he read the script and it said unhinged, but he didn't know what level of unhinged at that point in the plot he was supposed to be at. Because it hadn't really hit the fan yet. It was getting there, but he overacted something that should have been somewhat overacted, but he got off on the wrong floor.
I think really, and we kind of touched on this, and I think just to tie a bow on it, when you don't know who your character is, you can probably act to the fringes of the character, but you can't push that psycho button on a character you don't understand well enough.
Yeah.
I don't know what I would sound like in that situation, because I don't spend a ton of time studying what I might sound like in that situation. So maybe I can simulate it because I have spent a lot of time with me.
Yeah.
But I don't think Nick spent a lot of time with whatever the guy's name is, like Edward Woodward, or I think that might be his name. I just shot in the dark, but I think that's it. He didn't. I don't think he spent a lot of time with him, but he was genuinely trying to go for freaked out.
Yeah.
He just didn't know who the character was. So it just comes off that and he's overacting. So let's go with a 25 for that one.
Cool.
Okay. If I maybe I shouldn't, because the next few, you might guess.
Okay.
But if you guess out of order, then that might, screw me up a little bit. So I was going to have you guess what the next one is.
Okay.
But maybe I shouldn't.
Okay.
But you'll know it. And so
I know exactly what scenes are coming up.
Okay. So he's talking to Willow about the doll that he found in the coffin.
Yep.
He pulls it up to her face and he goes, "How did it burn? How did it burn? How did it burn? How did it burn?"
Yep.
I gave that a 25. And the last was a 25. So I don't know. Should we tick it up?
Just bump it up by 1. Give it a 26.
Okay.
That is more intense, but it is a more intense part of the movie, so I don't want to bump it up too much.
Okay. 26 is fucking crazy, though.
Yeah.
All right. Next one. And this one has a little bit of dialogue to it, so forgive me, but I'll be a minute as I'm screaming out these lines.
Okay.
As he's being tortured and killed.
Okay.
"You bitches! Killing me won't bring back your precious honey. This is murder. You'll all be guilty." And then he screams because his legs are being broken and there's bees being poured into like a net over his head that they made for that for whatever reason. They are torturing him as well as sacrificing him. I had a 25 for the last. I had a 26 for this. Should we go up a little or?
Let's dial this one up to 27.
27.
Yeah.
Dialed up to 27. Okay, well, the only other one that I had here was at the very, very end as he's burning to death, and he's just repeatedly screaming, "Ah!" Also not great, so I just I put that as at a 26 as well. Should I bump it or keep it at 26?
Let's keep it at 26 because he was burning to death. So I mean,
yeah, it wasn't. Somehow he didn't sell that well, though.
Yeah, no, it didn't.
Okay, well, that's a. Do you have any mentions?
I'm trying to think. Let's see. How did it burn? We got that. Yeah, when he kicks the lady against the wall, who did he kick against the wall?
Yeah.
Was it?
It was the blonde girl that asked him to take her with him.
Yeah, because he like punches her and she doesn't fall double over, and he goes, "Oh!" And like he just drop kicks her.
Yes, he does. Right into the wall.
So I mean, I guess he was under extreme duress. I wouldn't give it like a 27 or a 28, but I definitely throw it on there as like a 24.
It does need to be on there, so yeah, we'll write it down for a 24. But I mean, he's going to meet Turtle in the Ass Cheek Arena with his 27.
Hell yeah!
So that is the emote. I just wrote that down. So this week I did a little bit more for the Ass Cheek Arena because we wanted to. Every week we kind of start to simulate a little bit of a fight going on, but we don't actually follow through. And that's, I think, because Turtle hasn't really had any competition so far.
Yeah.
So I'm going to run over to my sound box and you tell me if this comes through.
Okay.
Did you hear that?
I didn't.
No?
Nah, I'm not hearing anything.
Damn. Okay. Well, you know what? I'm going to do the segment anyway. I had a boxing bell, a couple punches, some lasers, and some fireworks to play.
Oh man!
Unfortunately, that's not going to work. But we'll come up with something maybe for next week. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, so welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Ass Cheek Arena. Today's main event: John Travolta versus Nicolas Cage. In this corner, standing at an intimidating 9'1", weighing in at 481 pounds, from the planet of Cyclone. Turl, and then the crowd would boo, of course. And in this corner, standing at a slightly above average height of 6 feet, weighing in at 205 pounds from Long Beach, California, Nicolas Cage. Some fireworks. And there's the bell. Cage looking a bit apprehensive here early, as it seems that he's sprinting towards the crowd. It seems Turl is pulling out some kind of alien handgun. Yeah, that's a laser. He's shooting at Cage, who has so far managed to avoid the laser blasts. Now Turl is slapping his gun and screaming something to the effect of, "Crap lousy device." Cage is getting into a bear suit as Turl fiddles with his gun. Having only one arm, Turl seems to be having trouble. Cage now charging at Turl with abandon. Cage wallops Turl with a big right hand. Turl finally gives up on the gun. Turl lifting Cage with one hand, but forgetting he doesn't have another. Cage now with another big right. Turl seems dazed. Turl now calling for man-animal reinforcement. It seems he will get none. Bear Cage with a big kick to the chest, and Turl is off balance. Whoa, a big throw from Cage as he pulls out a handgun of his own. But no bullets. Turl rises with a big uppercut, knocking Cage to the ground, shouting something about having proper leverage. Cage now reaching into his pocket is pulling out two EpiPens straight to Turl's neck. Turl circling, confused, overexcited, clutching his chest. Oh, heart attack! Cage wins, and the first person to ever defeat Turl in the Ass Cheek Arena. What do you think, Rob?
I think I was at the edge of my my drum throne and I almost fell off. I was going to say some enemies became friends and some friends became enemies, but it was just enemies becoming further more enemy like. So well done, my friend.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm going to try to do that every week that we have a close fight. I mean, I'm not going to go that in depth unless it's really close, but I mean, we had a 27-25 victory from Cage there.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it was close, but
yeah.
I mean, I guess when the Emoto meter is metric after yourself, you're going to be the champion sometimes.
Yeah,
so.
you do have an advantage.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I felt good about that one, dude.
I felt
New
good
champ.
Too. Yeah.
New champion. Nicolas Cage.
Hell yeah.
All right. Why don't we go from the Ass Cheek Arena into a nice little ad read?
Oh, okay. That's right. Just so this whole movie focuses on fertility, and we try to get a sponsor that matches the episode because we want to get behind our endorsees. So
yeah,
this episode is brought to you by Super Squirter, Pornhub's new line of super soakers for couples with romance in mind. Tired of the old methods, the wet palm giga thrusting wearing out your wrists? Well, you are in for a treat. Super Squirters have 3 settings: wet, soaked, and Artie Lang's forehead on rib night. Super Squirter, the slickest in the business.
Wow. Thank you, Super Squirter.
Yeah.
I don't think I had one of those as a kid.
Nah, but I'm glad to have them on board now.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Super Squirter, for the free samples, for the free devices.
Yeah, my whole patio is a slip and slide. It's fantastic.
Awesome. Yes, thank you for that read, dude. That was perfect. Well done. They're going to be happy with that one for sure.
Oh yeah, they're going to see the revenue pouring in.
Yes, definitely. All right, so on to test number 5. Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it.
The poor taste detector. This test is designed to identify and flag potential hazards created by the film crew. These hazards consist of moments of immorality, abuse, racism, phobias, and any other in poor taste scenarios. So we just count them up in our test number 5, the poor taste detector.
Oh my God, you can't say that. It's 2021.
I love that. Okay, number 1. Cage punches the tavern lady in the face.
Yeah, I mean, that's not in great taste. I mean, they could have used their words.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I know he's going a little crazy, but just to show a full-grown man punching a full-grown woman in the face.
Yeah.
Or in the case of the blonde girl, not even, I mean, maybe debatably a teenager, which is number 2. Cage throws the blonde girl, punches her, and kicks her into a wall.
Yeah, he does.
So here's 2 already. How about Cage knocking out a woman when he's in his bear costume?
A lot of women get knocked out in this movie.
Yeah, man.
Well, I guess when they're all the antagonists, I guess it makes sense. But it's just as a gentleman, I don't know. It's just there's a lot of women getting decked. So
yeah, definitely. I mean, it's just not something you see in movies often. You know?
No,
I'm not sure it's in. I understand the stakes here, so
yeah.
I guess it's a bit debatable. Those are the 3 physical contact poor taste signifiers that I noticed. But Cage also pulls a gun on Sister Rose in order to get her bike from her.
Okay.
So it seems he's willing to shoot a woman for a bicycle. That seemed like it was in poor taste to me as well.
Yeah.
And then, Rob, I wanted to ask you, did you think – okay, I take omeprazole for like acid and some multivitamins and stuff like that.
Okay.
And I don't I don't really know I have family members that take some like anxiety meds and stuff like that. Runs in my family a little bit, but I cannot say that I'm very well educated on the subject. I was wondering if it is in poor taste to just show Cage like popping pills left and right.
Well, here's the thing. They say he has PTSD or something, post-traumatic stress disorder from that accident. Here's the thing. All right. So if I myself am bipolar, so I take a mood stabilizer, and those are things you take over a month that titrate up and they stabilize your mood. It's very subtle, and you kind of just take them before bed or whatever. If you have severe like post-traumatic anxiety, you take something in the benzodiazepam family, like your Xanax, Valium, Klonopin, or whatever. Here's the thing, or maybe if he's just nauseous, he's taking like a Zofran, which like it dissolves on your tongue and it keeps from throwing up. So I'm guessing he's taking something from that class of medication, and he's pouring out like he's waking up from a bad dream. He's pouring out like 4 or 5 in his hand and dropping them. So I don't think it's in poor taste, but I think like they're trying to show that he's got some sort of stress going on. But he's popping Xanax like Tic Tacs, man. It's like I know it always comes back to South Park, but he would be running around with his gun like the Matrix guys when they're slamming all that booze before going into the alternate reality. He'd just be like,
right.
Like, so I don't think it's necessarily poor taste, but I just think, come on, man. He's like popping this Xanax after Xanax or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's something in that class.
The reason that I would say that it is because they don't define, like if they defined it and said that it was just like, have you ever seen, okay, so this is a deep pull, so not a movie that a ton of people have seen, but have you ever seen Analyze This and That with Billy Crystal and Robert De Niro?
I saw them both when I was a kid, probably not able to fully appreciate them, but I might remember details.
They're not bad, actually. So Billy Crystal is, in the second one, he has, his father passes away. I'm pretty sure that's the second one. And he's going through the grieving process. Man. Anyway, it doesn't matter which one it is. He's taking a bunch of pills to try to relax himself, but he is also a doctor.
Yeah.
So he knows what they are, and he does some like 2-bit explanation of the fact that it's not very dangerous for him to take a couple if he forgot that he already took one. Yeah. And had they done something like that, then I feel like it wouldn't be in poor taste. Because, like if they had said like, oh, if you chew these, like you can take a bunch. Yeah. And it's not going to kill you. But like the reason it might be in poor taste is because like a kid watching this movie at home who idolizes Cage, say there are some of those like you and me.
Yes, absolutely.
Out there who is prescribed some kind of medication for their anxiety, who shouldn't be taking more than one, is like, if he can handle it, I can handle it.
Yeah, if the Wicker Man can do it, so can I.
Yeah, and then they pop 4 of them and they're knocked out cold or, God forbid anything worse than that. So that's
I'll take that.
Okay, all right. So we'll go with 5. That's not a huge score, though, even still. But, this movie, you know what? I was going to complain about how boring I thought the first, 40 minutes was.
Yeah.
Because I was finding that I didn't have a ton of material, and I was like, oh no, this is going to be a bad pod because Chris doesn't have a lot of script to read here, but the movie is so bad in an interesting way that it's really this is a pretty, I'm enjoying this pod so far.
Yeah. And once you get to the third act too, you start realizing how important the first and second acts are in this movie as well. Because it is a slow burn. I mean, it's only an hour and a half, but the last half hour, you start realizing, oh, that's why things start clicking, even though it's poorly made. You start realizing there's not a lot of movement in the earlier portions, but it starts to make sense, and that there happens to be material in that. So
and most of it becomes important, I guess, later on. There are some things that I might point out later that I thought were totally unnecessary, and I think I might have done that already a little bit. Sure. But yeah, let's go on to test number 6. This one's called accounting for entropy. So so bad movies rely too heavily on films of the past. So when recycling an idea, director or writer is committing to a trope. Almost every movie has 1 or 2 of them, but bad movies have many. So we count them up to help us evaluate the film.
Okay.
So let's get into it. Test number 6, accounting for entropy.
Obvious Tropes. Brought to you by, oh, he's right behind me, isn't he? We're gonna need a bigger boat, and well, fuck me sideways and call me Senator Blimpy.
I can't wait until the Charles Mingus estate just sues me.
Is that well? I mean, we'll have to get popular first.
That's true.
Okay, starting with a he is a cop with a traumatic history that's haunting him the whole movie.
Yes.
That's very tropey.
Yeah, the whole redemption arc, like I'm an officer with an axe to grind. Like that whole, yeah.
Simple. It counts. How about this quick one where, when he's like spending the first night and he wakes up, from what might be a nightmare and he drinks some water and he hears Rowan outside. So he looks out the window. That happens a lot in movies where people happen to wake up at exactly the right time.
Yep.
It could be debated that it was her making noise that woke him up, but it's the nightmare that wakes him up. So which one is it? And that's just a trope.
Yep.
Number 3, he wakes up from Rowan drowning, in like a dream because he fell asleep on the dock, right?
Yeah.
But then he sees Rowan dead in his arms.
Yeah. The double dream, right? Like the
double dream. I actually thought it was kind of well executed. It was the only part of the movie where I really was like I forgot about it,
Yeah.
But it is a trope, unfortunately.
Yeah.
The double dream. Whoever first did that must have really gotten the rocks off on that.
Yeah.
Sister Summersisle has been expecting you. That's the all-knowing cult leader, or when you show up at the bad guy's mansion unannounced, but they know you were coming.
Yeah, their backs to you. They got the cat in their lap, and they turn around in the chair, and the whole thing.
But of course, their hench person says they've been expecting you. Oh, really? Because this was supposed to be a surprise.
Yeah.
Whoa, they really are all knowing. They're all seeing. Huh?
Yeah.
That to me is a trope.
Okay.
Number 5, when he goes to shoot everybody and he doesn't have any bullets.
Oh yeah, yep. And then it was revealed that they were taken from his clip or his magazine.
Yeah. Which he should have fucking checked his gun because they've been fucking with. They took his bike away. They took his tapes. They, they broke the radio in the pilot's airplane, killed him.
Not to mention, for the second and third act, he was pointing that gun at everybody.
Yeah, good point.
He never checked the safety or just to make sure there's no water in it or anything like that.
Yeah, true. What an idiot.
Yeah.
Last one is one that you had mentioned to me, and we have talked about it at length already. But the medicated traumatic experience is also something you see a lot. I think he kind of operates as a way of maybe making the audience doubt his credibility as the narrator, so to speak.
Yeah.
So that would be 6. Do you agree? Do you agree with him?
I agree with all those. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any others to mention, or do you want me to just write down 6?
Just maybe 7 for just overall, just the sacrifice for harvest.
Okay. Sacrifice. Oh, for harvest. I thought you said harpist.
No, for harvest. I mean, once again, South Park did it.
Yeah, that's very
ritualistic sacrifice for harvest. So
yeah. That Britney episode was really funny. By the way.
It was.
All right, so test number 7, our last test before we get into some fun stuff, is called Bad Effects, Side Effects. Okay. This one is a simple test idea with a complex but accurate structure. So we grade the movie's computer graphics and practical effects on a custom scale that we made up. So bad CGI in a movie, really bad CGI, is Deep Blue for Deep Blue Sea, because those sharks were just unbearable.
Yeah.
Slightly better than that, Total Recall. That's mostly practical effects. So bad practical effects in a movie, we're probably going to call it Total Recall because it looks like claymation crap, like the 80s movie, which was a good movie, by the way. Okay. Better still, Rock Scorpion. So this is taken from The Mummy Returns. It's when Wayne The Rock Johnson is revealed, and he happens to be a giant scorpion with The Rock's face. and it looks terrible.
Yeah.
But it's still like 2000 CGI, so it's better than Deep Blue Sea.
Yes.
And then the best of the bad is Beowulf, where you get CGI that looks almost convincing, but it's like frustratingly good bad because you can tell it's not quite right.
Yeah.
That's our scale. So why don't we get into test number 7, bad effects, side effects.
CGI till the day I die.
All right. So, not a ton here. They didn't do a whole lot of CGI and practical effects.
Yeah.
But the truck explosion in the beginning, when the truck hits the mom and daughter, who may or may not have been there, I give it a Beowulf. Looked like it happened.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Probably did, right?
Yeah, they probably blew the car up. Yeah.
Yeah. And another one that I was impressed by is when he's on the boat and he's, popping his pills and he sees that girl out there that looks like debatably like Rowan.
Yeah.
And then she gets hit by a truck. So like he's on a boat and then you see a truck kind of just wham into the girl like through the windows. I thought that looked good.
Yeah, that was good. And then they did it like 4 times.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. But when it happened, it looked good.
Yeah, I agree. So I gave those both Beowulfs our best score.
All right.
But then they kind of ruin it by giving a choppy memory of the explosion later on, where it's like super super choppy, and I think that they're messing with the scene, like they're reshooting maybe because they had to shoot Nicolas Cage doing different things than what like you saw him do in the first time. So they had to make it choppy so that you didn't quite remember how it happened or whatever. But the way that they loaded it in looked like crap.
Yeah,
to me.
I agree with that.
So I went with a recall on that one.
Okay.
They went a little Turl from Battlefield Earth with the broken legs at the end.
Yeah, that looked. It reminded me of Stephen King's Misery when she's hobbling his legs.
Yes,
and it's just like it just looked like they had like 2x4s with pants on them.
Yeah, it didn't look great.
Yeah,
right. So I give that a recall as well.
That's a recall. I was going to say the same thing.
And then I thought the Wicker statue was fine, so I gave it a Rock Scorpion.
That's fair. It just reminded me of that art festival, Burning Man, where people just go into the desert, do drugs, and watch a. I was just thinking, go into Burning Man the whole time.
I think the only knock I had against the Wicker statue, which I think was real, was that at times you could tell that there really wasn't anybody in it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that was the knock. But you've got 2 Beowulfs, 2 recalls, and a Rock Scorpion. Rock Scorpion's right between recall and Beowulf, so I thought it was appropriate to give it a Rock Scorpion.
Fair.
Okay, I'm going to jot that down. A Rock Scorpion for the CGI score. Bad effects. All right, so let's move on to some of our fun stuff at the end. Now that we're done with all their sciencey stuff.
All the science is done.
I am going to get into my illogical inconsistencies, if you'll allow, of which I have some.
Let's do it. Okay,
they never recovered bodies from the car, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he says that to the girl cop in the beginning, but they don't expand on that at all. It just
and they ask him like he's like he left he took time off from the force or took leave or whatever from that. In good faith. It wasn't like they're like, you're seeing things, man. Why don't you take a couple weeks off? They're asking him to come back. So like he clearly saw something get blown up that traumatized him because they all wished him well.
Yeah, they did. But then so they took his word for it because why assume he's lying? But then they didn't find you would find skeletons in the car though. Yeah. So I didn't really understand what we were supposed to take from that. Like, I guess maybe they wanted it to be a mystery whether or not he's crazy. That's kind of the whole deal, right? Mm-hmm. This is not an illogical inconsistency, but I know no better place to put it. The set the mood music throughout the whole goddamn movie really fucked me. I mean, they just laid it on way too thick, dude.
Oh, you know the whole film score? Yeah,
I mean, he's like walking through the woods and then he I don't know, looks to his left and there's a girl with a mask on, but it's like, Can we take a break, please? Can you let me? Cause I think they wanted me to just feel unsettled the whole time, but it ended up losing its effect halfway through the movie.
It did. I didn't even think about that, but now that you mentioned it, they did lay it on quite thick. The tightly wound violin strings, yeah.
If they do that in Insidious or Conjuring and stuff, that shit works because they only break it in when they want you to feel really on edge.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it was just the Amazon version of the movie that I saw, but did you see what was in the bloody bag that the guys were holding?
It never showed me. It was just
they didn't show me either.
I didn't even know was it blood or was it just water dripping from it? I thought it was just water.
It was red.
Oh, was it? Okay.
So why didn't he look to see if it was his the daughter he didn't know he had?
Yeah.
That really bugged me. They're like, oh, boo. And then he's supposed to be like, oh, you pranked me. I don't need to look anymore.
Oh, what's in the bag?
Yeah. Bullshit. Why did he fall through the barn roof?
Carpentry.
Yeah, I guess just bad carpentry. They're not trying to kill him, right?
Yeah.
But they are because they leave him in a fucking underwater.
Yeah.
Why do that if you're going to sacrifice him?
That's true. They need him, and to that point, I don't know. I don't want to trample on anything if you haven't said it yet, but
go.
When
go
they use the EpiPens on him after the bees get him because he's allergic to bees, and they go, well, he has to be burned alive.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, why are they trying to kill him ahead of time when they need his warm body?
Exactly, because they do. I don't think the barn was on purpose. He's just running out after this crazy vision he's having on Rowan, or they're fishing him along so that he stays interested. But either way, I don't think he was supposed to fall through the barn ceiling. So what purpose does that have in the movie? I was just confused.
Yeah.
And we had already mentioned it, but is it possible for a person to just hold on to a piece of metal, almost completely submerged under water and fall asleep and survive it for 12 hours or however long he was in there?
Yeah. I'm going to go with a no on that. I mean,
I don't think so either.
Yeah, I mean, if you pass out, your lungs are going to fill with water. But if you keep waking up and then, if you kept nodding off, waking up and grabbing it, then I could see having those little micro terrors in your mentally.
Yeah, that keep you alive, I guess.
But
then he gets up and he just runs out of there.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I got to show you something, Willow.
Yeah, no, he's going to be pins and needles. Yeah.
Bullshit. All right, so this dude is allergic to bees, and he wheels a bike directly into a fucking beehive.
Yeah.
Okay, that's just really dumb.
Yep.
Let me ask you this.
Okay.
Is he qualified to exhume a human body?
Well, I wanted to bring that up. He's not even in the right jurisdiction.
No.
He's from California, and they're in Oregon, Washington. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
he's not allowed to do that, even if he was allowed to do that by the code of his job, which he isn't.
Yeah.
And also, just to tag one more on there, was he planning on doing a solo autopsy? Because he also mentioned that they were going to do an autopsy.
I think his plan was, which I don't know why. I think his plan was to get support or backup once he blew their cover.
Yeah.
But A, no one will believe him. B, he had no cell phone service. C, he's outnumbered 1,000 to 1. D, something else I haven't thought of. But he's just there's no way any of his plan would ever work.
It's total bullshit.
Yeah.
What's with the gross old naked guy and the girl covered in bees?
The naked chick. My assumption was they were breeding, and then since she got his seed, they just killed him with bees.
Oh, is that why he was all covered in bumps and stuff?
Yeah, I thought they were welts from bee stings.
Oh,
I thought since they worship bees, maybe they were just putting him over her pussy so it can grant her fertility or something. That's
Okay, so they were carrying.
Yeah, they were propagating the species.
Pollinating.
Yeah, exactly, they're propagating the species.
Yeah. Okay, is there anything better than a pissed off Nicolas Cage on a bicycle?
A pissed off Nicolas Cage at a pharmacy asking if you've ever been dragged out and beaten until you piss blood.
All right, you got me there. You got me there. Okay, here's another question for you.
Okay.
When he took off the bear costume, he's with Rowan in the woods. He takes off the bear costume. Why didn't he take off the bare feet?
You said bare feet, and that made me laugh. But I don't know. I think he was just trying to. I think he took the top half off. Just
also, it's funny because he doesn't take off.
But
no, the legs he keeps on, or he doesn't keep. He takes the legs off too, but the bare feet. As he's running away, there's feet of fur going on. He didn't take the bare feet off.
I thought he was just trying to take his cell phone out. So
yeah, he takes it completely off.
Oh, then I don't know. I have no idea then.
Yeah, so he's running through the wood. He's running through the woods with feet covered in fur.
Yeah.
Hey, James Franco.
What about James Franco?
I said, hey, James Franco. It was just, hey, there he is.
Sorry, man. My connection just went for a second, so I'm good.
Yeah,
now.
That's okay. It's been chopping a little bit, but I think we're okay.
Okay.
I don't have a Father's Lounge for the week.
I mean, I do. I guess if I'm going to try saving my presumed daughter's life from a ritualistic sex hole, I want to make sure she's my daughter first. That's it.
Just bring Maury to the island.
Exactly. Yeah, Maury Povich. Just do the DNA test. We'll prick her finger. We'll prick that bumblebee's finger over there, and then we'll make sure that everything lines up correctly and that it came from my pollen, and we're good to go.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well said. Well said. I agree with that. I would want to know.
Yeah.
Imagine if he did all that for nothing.
Yeah, I know, and he did.
Let's move on to Rob's movie review.
Oh, yes, that's right. I wrote a review. Let's see. Okay. Nicolas Cage, a police officer, trespasses on an all-women's island to investigate a missing persons case, despite the fact that he has absolutely zero jurisdiction over the matter. He kills a bee with a cup of mead, and a woman whose name sounds like a kind of tampon gets all butthurt over it. He pops dozens of pills after recurring nightmares, but they seem to have no effect. After some more soul-searching, it turns out it's all about honey, and his ex was pulling one over on him the entire time. Was the missing girl his daughter? Probably not. Do we care? A little. How old were you when you realized that bribing a delivery man to sneak you onto uncharted territory was probably a bad idea? Like 6? The Wicker Man.
Well said, sir. Nicely done. All right, nice. So I do have bad credit names again this week.
Okay.
I will caution you, it's not as good as last week. There were so many, and I think I realized that the bigger the budget, the more people there are involved.
Yeah.
So I don't have as many, but I think there's still a few funny ones here.
Okay.
So at the end of the movie, I just watch all the credits and I try to pick out some funny ones to make Rob laugh. This first one is not funny, but I thought you might want to know, were the twins or weren't they? Remember the crazy twins, the ones that are like
with the crazy eyes?
Yeah, they were like really creepy.
I'm going to say yes.
So no, they weren't actually.
Huh.
It was just one woman named Molly Parker that I guess they just like put next to herself.
I mean, good job, because she's fucking creepy.
Yeah, I agree. She was creepy.
Her face looked like you know what Madame Tussauds is? Like the wax museum?
Yes. Yeah, the wax statues. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like it was like the girl from The Shining, but grown up, then slightly melted.
Okay, that's really good. Yeah. I absolutely agree with that assessment. Okay, so weird that we're going from twins to a person called Ling Yang.
Ling Yang. Like a yin yang.
Yeah,
okay.
Ling and Yang. Brad von Aragon.
Sounds like a spice. Tarragon.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, that would be the one. But that's a solid name, huh? Brad von Aragon.
Yeah, sounds like royalty.
Yeah, he does. I like this one. I only have a few more.
Okay.
But Julia Stab.
That's unfortunate.
I wonder if she's married. You
Yeah.
know? Because props to her if she married a guy like named Johnny Stab, you know?
Yeah.
I don't think I'd marry that guy personally.
I've seen guys like talk on the internet, man. Like, I mean, most first dates statistically lead to like your death. So if his last name's Stab, that's just not a good
start. Definitely. All right. 2 more.
Okay.
Terry Tangy.
Terry or Harry?
Terry.
Terry Tangy.
Yeah.
I don't even have something clever to say for that. That's just solid.
Yeah, I thought so too. All right, and my last one. Michael Scooby Vincent.
Oh man, I don't know if it's just like an Anglo-Saxon thing where it's just like your lineage just yields fucked up names, but that's one of them.
Yes, it's not great. So Scooby's in quotes.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So
but that's not better.
So he's known for being really into Scooby-Doo.
I don't know that, or he just wants people to call him Scooby.
Or
I couldn't tell you, but maybe that we'll go with that.
Yeah, he eats dog biscuits constantly.
Yeah, I would love to watch someone do that. All right, so that's it. That's all I had. I'm sorry, but there actually weren't that many good ones.
That's all right.
I really like Terry Tangy.
I love Terry Tangy. We should get Terry Tangy on the podcast.
We should try. Yeah, I'll reach out and see if she is available.
Use our official email. That way they know it's legit.
Yes, okay. At bombfilterpod@gmail.com.
Correct.
Cool. Hey, guess what we're going to do this week?
Recap.
Yes, we're going to compare the scores of the movies to determine what the worst movie ever made is.
Okay.
So last week, Armageddon took over our long-standing champ. Though last week was our first official episode, we had done some preliminary scoring and decided that Battlefield Earth was the worst movie ever made. However, Armageddon, based almost solely on how tropey it was, defeated Battlefield Earth in single combat. So Armageddon is our current worst movie ever made.
Okay.
But we're going to run through some scores here.
Okay.
The Botch Watch. Armageddon got a negative 40 million. That's really hard to beat. That tied Battlefield Earth, and that was usually why Battlefield Earth just wiped the floor with other movies. And The Wicker Man, we gave a negative 20 million.
Yep.
So the first one goes to Armageddon.
Okay.
The elevator movie plot pitch, Wicker Man had a 29, which is a huge score.
Mm-hmm.
Armageddon had a 24, but we gave Wicker Man a 3.5 star plot rating, and we gave Armageddon a 3 star. So I don't know. Does a half a point account for 5 extra seconds of runtime?
No.
So give it to Wicker?
Give it to Wicker Man.
Okay. Wicker Man takes that one. The IDC score for Armageddon was 8.
Okay.
And the IDC score for The Wicker Man was only 7. So another tick in the direction of Armageddon.
All right.
Armageddon, though, got its ass kicked in the emotometer because we only gave 13 out to Colonel Sharp, if you remember.
Okay.
And we had Nicolas Cage with a register of 27. And not only that, but Turl was still champion in our Armageddon. So John Travolta was still our champion in the Armageddon pod.
Yeah.
And Nicolas Cage took him out, dude. So
he trounced him.
Right. So, I mean, if it comes down to a wash, that decides.
Okay.
And but we'll see. I haven't finished yet because some poor taste. Armageddon had 8.
Okay.
Wicker Man only had 5.
All right.
Tropes, 11 for Armageddon.
Okay.
7 for Wicker Man.
Okay.
So far it's 4-2, and we only have 1 test left.
Okay.
Wicker Man takes it with a Rock Scorpion, because Armageddon we gave a Rock Wolf, the first ever Rock Wolf.
Okay.
So Armageddon had a better score, in terms of how good the movie is, giving Wicker Man one more nod, but that means that Armageddon wins 4-3.
Okay.
Yeah, Nicolas Cage winning does not tilt the scales in the event of a clear victory.
Okay.
So Nicolas Cage will enter next week as the ass cheek champion, full on ass cheek champion. But Armageddon will enter as the worst movie ever made.
Okay, I agree with that.
Okay, cool. So Armageddon wins. What are we watching next week, bud?
Oh, throwing out there now. Then I'll throw one out as well.
I know Waterworld is free on Netflix. We're trying to do free ones.
Yeah.
What do you got? You got any free ones?
None that I can think of off the top of my head. I mean, I'm down for Waterworld. I've actually never seen Waterworld.
Okay.
You want to do? Is it a longer one?
I think it's a little long.
I like the longer ones. They're harder to squeeze.
Good. I mean, it'll stand a chance against Armageddon because, the longer the movie, the more to make fun of.
Okay. Yeah, that's the whole thing. They're harder to squeeze in, but like I found that like watching some of these movies in half-hour blocks gives me more time to think about what I just watched. And I actually kind of enjoy watching it that way.
Okay, so, yeah.
Cool.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
So Waterworld, Kevin Costner, next week.
Okay.
So we need to find a way to post this for people. So since we're delaying it a week.
Yeah. Do you have? I did put our first episode on SoundCloud. Let me just pull up the URL real quick because I'm just really bad at that. I think it's just Bomb Filter Pod. Bear with me 1 second, okay?
Yeah, Bomb-Filter.
Yes, SoundCloud.com/bomb-filter. And I will be uploading them there. I might do something on Bandcamp's a little more stable for the longer running stuff, so I might do a Bandcamp as well. But right now, everything's on the SoundCloud right now. And then I'm researching some apps right now that just distribute you to like Spotify and iTunes and Amazon, and they don't cost anything. Awesome. And they could actually help us get some sponsors too, because basically you go in like a consortium with other podcasts. So I'll look into that. Then we could that way we can get heard everywhere. Because like SoundCloud's like I don't like using it personally all the time, but I know some people only use SoundCloud. Well, I want to have as much universal listeners as possible. Some people like Spotify, so I want to try getting on Spotify too. So,
I'm going to give you a little strategy. We can stop the recording though.
All right, let me hit stop.
Whenever you're ready.
Yeah.
Hey guys, this is Rob from the Bomb Filter. We kind of trailed off at the end, but just to let you know, we will be watching Waterworld with Kevin Costner. You can watch it on Prime. I watch it for free on Peacock with some advertisements. We're still going through some technical difficulties and growing pains, especially with the soundboard and just I think our rhythm's good, but we're still not quite there yet. So just keep an eye out on the SoundCloud, soundcloud.com/bomb-filter, and we will keep uploading our episodes there weekly. I hope you liked it. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week with Waterworld.